to Madness in the Method, the podcast where we talk about Nicolas Cage. Only Nicolas Cage, and nothing but Nicolas Cage. I mean, we talk about other stuff, but Nicolas Cage is always adjacent, so to speak. My name is Tobias Vedén, and with me, as always, is my friend and trusty co-host, Christopher.
Hello, everyone.
Hello. And today, we are talking about yet another action movie. It was kind of that time in the mid 90s for Nicolas Cage. He really took to the Hollywood. Hollywood opened its arms, and he was just like, "Yes, bring it on, bring it on." And this is like the third movie in. I found out that this is kind of an unofficial trilogy, at least for fans, not in any sort of official aspect. And we're talking about the 1997 John Woo action classic Face Off. I don't think we need to introduce it much more than that. It's Face Off. It's pretty well known, I think.
Yeah,
it's the one where they take off people's faces and put them on other people.
It's one of those movies that I don't think everyone has seen it, but everyone has at least heard of it.
Oh yeah, everyone knows because of the big gimmick where they switch faces on Travolta and Cage.
I remember this is one of those movies that you heard on like in school when like on the playground sort of.
Mm-hmm.
Where people have you seen this movie? No.
Yeah, you see when they take off the face, you see all the blood and sinew. It's gross, and I mean you do, but it's very briefly.
Yeah. We've both seen it before, right?
yes, many times.
Yeah. Do you remember first time you saw it?
I don't remember exactly, but I know I watched it on a what do you call it? It was recorded off the TV by my dad.
Mm.
So I've seen it many times in my youth, but I think I've only seen the proper opening where they, I guess spoilers, where they killed John Travolta's son. I think I've only seen that like 2 or 3 times when I actually bought the movie on DVD some years ago.
Oh, they missed to record that on the VHS?
Yeah, so it always started like with the whole, them going after him on the plane, basically.
Oh, okay.
So that always that little sequence always throws me off. Like, all right, it starts out kind of sappy, but in a good way.
Yeah, it starts off in the same sappy way that Con Air does.
Yeah, but without like spewing exposition about who this guy is. It's just showing us, motivation instead.
I mean, John Woo is a great one of the great directors, really.
Oh yes,
in the action genre. And
yes,
he knows what he's doing. So
indeed.
And this is far from his first movie too.
Oh yeah. It's not even his first Hollywood movie. He made 2 before this. What is it? Hard Target and
Broken Arrow.
Broken Arrow with John Travolta, right?
Yes, John Travolta and the other guy. I never remember what his name is.
Christian Slater, I think.
Yes, Slater. Right.
I haven't seen that one, but I've heard mixed things. I've seen Hard Target, and I'm not a fan. Okay. Not so much of the action, because the action is fine, but it's just the plot, and Van Damme is, he's Van Damme. So. He ain't no Nicolas Cage.
I haven't seen that one, but I have seen Broken Arrow. I think I saw it sort of in the same year or same time span as I saw Face Off the first time.
Yeah.
Because I remember seeing Face Off for the first time. It was a friend who had it on bought VHS.
Mm.
And he also had Broken Arrow. I don't remember because I think it was his older brother who bought them, and I think he bought them together or something.
Oh.
So yeah.
Yeah, because it just came out like the year before or something like that, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, 96. Yeah.
So I remember watching them not back to back, but sort of back to back. And I mean, they're both great, I'd say, but Face Off is the better one.
Oh yeah,
obviously.
I mean, yeah. I can't say, but because I haven't seen it. But I mean, I'm just looking at the plot. I mean, Christian Slater is, I mean, Face Offs. Also, judging from which one everyone remembers, like,
oh yeah,
someone might remember Broken Arrow, but everyone remembers Face Off.
Yeah.
And you know, for good reason, because I don't know if you've said this already. It's fucking amazing.
Yeah, and it's one thing I was thinking of now when I saw it, because it was a while since I saw this. This is not one of those movies I rewatch often. So
no, it's been a while since I saw it too.
So it's above 5 years since I saw this last. So I remember like the set pieces and the action scenes, but I didn't remember all the details. But one thing that really hit me in watching this one is this is very sort of anime.
Yes,
it's very much of these pointing gun at each other and spewing cool lines.
Yeah, and everyone has cool clothes. There's a bunch of slow motion, you know, a lot of like staged poses. Yeah,
specifically Nicolas Cage character, or John Travolta's character, however you want. Castor Troy.
Yes,
he's very much of these very flair and a lot of gold and cool custom guns and that fucking dragon the money hold
money clip. Yeah, it's so cool. I mean it makes sense because I don't know, chicken and the egg, but I mean Asian filmmaking has definitely influenced anime, probably just as much as anime has influenced Asian filmmaking. So having a director who's up until this point mostly made movies in he's from Hong Kong, I think. John Woo is there?
I think Hong Kong. I'm not
certain. It is. Yeah, it's because it's Hong Kong. He basically invented Hong Kong action.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
And it feels like this movie is, because if we've seen his older movies, like the most famous one, I think, The Killer.
The Killer and Hard Boiled.
Hard Boiled, right? That's the one.
I've seen some. I haven't seen that many actually, but I've seen those two, and I've seen some other movie he made.
Yeah, and he really has that flair, because I think it's Hard Boiled or Killer or both. I remember with the doves, just always doves when there's a shootout.
There's always doves in the final shootout in every movie he makes. Yeah. I mean, I don't remember if there's in Wind Talkers, but all his like action movies.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the reasons this movie is so memorable, specifically when it came, because this was not the kind of action movies that existed in Hollywood at that time.
No.
This flair and overdramatic, and I mean, Con Air that we did last week, it has some of it, but it's not
on the same level. Not even close.
And I think that's one of the things that people remember it, because when they saw it, it's not just it's a ludicrous premise, it's awesome action, but also this weird flair that it seems new and exciting, sort of.
Yeah, I mean, general audiences, like Asian cinema wasn't really a thing in the 90s, anywhere really outside of Asia. I mean, there's always film buffs, whatever, but in general, people didn't watch Hong Kong action or Japanese movies and stuff. Yeah,
and the only one, there was some that came, but that wasn't the modern. It was the old ones.
Oh, sure, but the modern,
Bruce Lee and
sure, and we did have, of course, Jackie Chan movies before this, but I mean that was him acting in American movies by American directors. It wasn't like. It wasn't directed by a Hong Kong director or an Asian director.
Yeah.
So it was definitely this one kind of this was kind of a breakthrough when it came to Asian, especially Asian action cinema, I think. Like internationally.
The only thing that I think I dislike about John Woo's style, which is very prominent in this movie, and he doesn't use it sparingly. That's my issue. Is slow motion.
Okay.
In this movie, there's so much slow motion that, I mean, if you put all the slow motion scenes in this movie and just put them regular speed, I think that's probably like 10 minutes less than this movie.
Yeah. I remember people having that same argument when 300 came out, that the movie's like 40 minutes if you just speed up everything. So much slow motion. Yeah, I get that. Yeah. But I love it.
Yeah, just to say, it works in some movies. Like 300, it works great in that movie because it's more of a sort of I don't know, a genre movie sort of. It's more of a fantasy thing. So it works better there. But I think since this one is sort of based in reality, there's no superpowers and things like that, then it gets a little excessive at the end of this movie, I think. Because, every scene in vacuum is great. They're great. But when you just put them together, it's just too much slow mo. Just come on, just get over. Come on.
I like that it accentuates the action. In a different way from other action movies. Because I was thinking of that when I was watching this. The opening scene on the airport. It's like. I mean, it's like almost 10 minutes long, I think. I didn't time it. I just looked at the runtime. And I was thinking, like, I love this scene. I don't have a problem with it being very long and very drawn out. So what is the difference between that scene and the car chase in The Rock? And because like, why do I like one and not the other? And I think it comes down to style. Like the car chase in The Rock is so hectic and so over the top in almost an ironic way, while that scene with all its slow motion and flair, it's just, first of all, it's much more well directed. It's almost like a dance. If that maybe a little cliche to say, but I think it's much better choreographed and directed.
And I gotta say,
it has an emotional impact at the end also.
Yeah,
it leads up to something.
Another thing, if we take the first action scene with the airplane in the airport, I think one of the big thing that makes that work instead of the Rock chase scene is here we have. It's just seconds here and there, but it makes a lot of difference. Just seconds of calm and people exchanging dialogue and things, and it's not just action. There are things, people are saying things, and there's some story in the action too. While in the Rock chase scene, there's more of a pause the story for the action, proceed the story. I think in this movie, and I'll say Con Air too.
For the most part,
to some extent, that every action scene, it drives the story forward and it drives the characters forward in their development in some way.
Yeah.
And I think that's how you make a great action scene.
Yeah.
You have to have these small calm moments, because I'm thinking in the plane, just one example is when 1 billion cars is chasing this plane, and there's the helicopter, and all of these things are happening, people shooting, but we have these few seconds where Castor Troy just goes into the cockpit and tells the pilot, we have to lift off now, or I'm gonna shoot you. And it's sort of in the moment, it's sort of a quiet moment. It lets you breathe for 1 second before next hail of gunfire and things happening.
It gives the audience a sense of direction. We understand what's going on. It's not just cars exploding and driving all over the place. There is a clarity to the action. Yeah. And therefore, to take it back to your first point of contention, sure, there might be a little overabundance of slow motion, but I think that's fine, since almost every action scene in the movie fills a purpose. And so I'm just, every time an action scene happens, I'm just delighted. I'm not like bored or like, oh, not another one. Oh yeah, I'm just happy. Full of style and flair.
I agree. I love the action in the scene. I'm not bored at all. I'm just saying it. When I was at the end of the movie, I was feeling, okay, we don't need this scene to be slow motion. We had a lot of it. just that because
No, yeah.
also because of how I see slow motion, and this is just like how I watch movies and how I think movies are made. And this is again probably this is a director from Hong Kong who has a different way of making movies than we are used to in Hollywood, which is what we in Sweden mostly consume is Hollywood usually.
Yes.
And that is the thing that a slow motion scene for me is it's a way to point this specific thing is interesting. Look at this. We need to slow down so you notice this specific thing because it's either cool or it's it has a plot point or something. But I think in this movie, and I think most of John Woo's movies, he uses it to that extent that it becomes less important when it's slow motion.
Okay, yeah, sure.
I don't.
I can see that.
It doesn't catch my attention the same way because it's so much of it. While in another movie where they have slow motion like 4 times maybe through the entire movie, I know these 4 moments are interesting and specific, and I need to. This needs to have my attention, and that's sort of my issue with it. So it's more of just a personal thing more than a critique to the movie.
Sure. Yeah, sure, yeah. And I hear you. I recognize you. And I totally disagree. No, yeah, I love the action throughout.
Yeah.
I was even thinking, like, because this is a long movie. It's even longer than The Rock, right? Or no, The Rock maybe was even longer because this is 2 hours and 19 minutes with the credits.
Yeah, and The Rock is 2 hours 16 with credits.
All right, so they're basically the same.
Yeah, basically.
But I was never bored watching this.
No.
And we even have like a long stretch after whoever face gets put on the other guy. And he goes to the prison. There's almost no action. It's all storytelling, and it's all a lot of like big emotional scenes.
Yeah.
And other than the prison fight between him and the guy with the goatee, Bouvon, or whatever his name was, the guy who helps him escape.
Yeah.
And I was thinking like, oh, we haven't seen some action in a while. And but like, if that was in The Rock, I would be like, can we move on? At least the action, something happens. And here, they were using the time to like build the characters, especially since we need to like readjust from Nicolas Cage being the bad guy to John Travolta becoming the bad guy, and like trying to acclimate ourselves to like, oh right, so it is Nicolas Cage, it's Castor Troy, but he's wearing Sean Archer's face. And I think they take the appropriate amount of time to establish that and make us kind of accept that, and also continue the story before they just throw in a bunch of action.
Yeah, and another thing why I think that works so good, the emotional scenes are because these actors are at their top of their game.
Oh yeah,
and both Travolta and Nicolas Cage, they're playing so many parts at the same time.
Yeah,
and they do it phenomenally, I'd say. There's no time where I don't buy that John Travolta is Nicolas Cage playing a character who is playing another character to the other.
Yeah, I mean. That's like Inception levels. Like John Travolta is playing Nicolas Cage pretending to be John Travolta.
Yeah.
So he has to act like Nicolas Cage trying to be John Travolta and vice versa.
Yeah, and I think
they pulled it off pretty well, I think.
Yeah, and I think that's why the emotional scenes are interesting, because even if the story at times isn't the best.
No, it drags a little. It does, yeah.
It drags a little. It's kind of ludicrous at most of the time, but even if the story doesn't work, you can always just fall back to admire how great the acting is and the characters, because the characters are I'd say greatly written too.
Oh yeah.
The characters specifically. Maybe the story isn't all time, but the characters are.
Characters are well written. For an action movie, but the story is pretty simple actually. It's just a criminal takes over cops or whatever, a secret agent's life, while the secret agent is stuck with the identity of the criminal. Yeah. And they're trying to get back his life basically. Yeah,
it's more of these sort of borderline sci-fi moments with both the face thing, but also the prison thing, whereas this prison that's out in a lake. I think it's not the sea.
I think it's supposed to be the ocean.
Okay, because you see land around it.
Yeah, well, I don't know actually. I'm thinking since it's an old, it's supposed to be an oil drill platform. I don't think. I mean, they could be in the sea. I don't know.
Yeah.
Either way.
But this thing has magnetic boots, and it's just. It's very not real.
But that's kind of funny because the movie was supposed to be a sci-fi movie from the start.
And that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, you've probably heard the fact that the original actors were Schwarzenegger and Stallone.
No, I haven't heard it, but it does not surprise me at all. Yeah,
because it was written back in, 1990. I mean, it was even written before that, but it was purchased or appropriated by some producer, whatever. And it was supposed to take place in the future, so that the future stuff would make more sense. I mean, they grounded pretty well in this version of the movie, but it was like, face swapping is it's easy because it's the future, and super max prisons where you have magnetic boots is fine because it's the future. And it was going to be more like a straightforward, they didn't have a director back then, but I'm thinking this would almost be like a Paul Verhoeven film, like Total Recall, or what's the other one he made? RoboCop. It almost feels like that kind of a movie almost. But then there was a bunch of actors and directors who kind of jumped ship because it got stuck in development hell. And then when John Woo ended up with it, he was like, "No, we should set it in modern day." And he actually is quoted saying that we should focus on the emotional elements of the movie. It was like, oh, that's interesting. Yeah. So instead, so removing all the sci-fi gimmicks to just focus on the characters. And that's very nice to hear from someone you mainly think of as an action director. Like, no, characters are important as well.
The one movie I was thinking of while watching this, not at any story points, well, maybe, but mostly just it was a feeling. I can't really point at any specific thing, but it had a similar feeling to Demolition Man.
Really?
Yeah, I was thinking because this cop, this super crazy criminal, and the feeling of this sort of sci-fi, but not really. I mean, Demolition Man is straight up sci-fi, but it's a very grounded sci-fi sort of.
Sure, I'm just, and I can see what you're saying, but for me, Demolition Man is almost like a comedy at times, and this is not. Well, it is kind of funny, but it's not like a comedy.
Well, I mean, no, it's not a comedy, but it is.
It has
just as all action moves. We talked about that before. That I think we talked about when we reviewed The Rock, or talked about The Rock. That they tried it, but they failed at it to have that levity thing.
Yeah, it didn't work because it was Michael Bay.
And here it works, and specifically from Castor Troy's character, because he is. Oh yeah. No matter who plays him, it's a very fun character to watch. Most of the things he does is, in a way, funny but menacing.
He's almost like Joker-esque. He seems to revel in like being evil almost. Like, I'm so delightfully vicious. Oh, yes.
Yeah, and just the concept, which I don't think I've ever seen in another movie. I don't think I connected the dots when I watched it last time, but that he's like a terrorist for hire.
Yeah.
That just, what the fuck is that?
Well, yeah, usually it's like, I want you to kill this man. It's like, no, I want you to destroy LA. Sure, I'll do it.
I want you to create terror. That's okay, cool.
Yeah, he is like he's like a comic book villain. Yeah, like the Joker, basically.
Yeah. And I think those parts of it made me sort of, and the as I said before, the very anime style, and it's very over the top, and all of those things combined sort of made me think of Demolition Man. There are some similar feelings, but I'm not saying that they are even on the same level of movie. That's not what I'm saying.
Demolition Man is fucking terrible.
No, I think it's fucking great if you watch it.
I enjoy it, but it's a bad movie.
It's bad in every. I don't know. It's one of those. It's like the one that the movie that people talk about in a meme way. Idiocracy.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a movie which it's actually pretty terrible. It's not that good, but you're enjoying it, and then there are some parts of like society criticism that is.
Yeah. There are genuinely because I love Idiocracy. Yeah. I wish more people talked about that movie.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a dumb movie, but like you said, it has like some genuinely good parts, and like. At times, like interesting social criticism, yeah,
and I'm saying Demolition Man has the same. It's the same vein.
Sure,
Demolition Man is an action-packed idiocracy. That's what I'm saying. That's my take for today. Anyway, Face Off.
Face Off. Yes. So I think all of those things that specifically makes you think of Demolition Man. That's probably like just stuff that was left in the script from when it was actually going to be a movie like Demolition Man.
Yeah,
because that's an early '90s sci-fi action movie starring Stallone. So that was kind of the way they were, or the thing they were going for. But instead, they got this, which is now like a bona fide classic. So.
A thing I was thinking of a lot through this movie is, god damn, there's a lot of actors you know the face of. In this movie, it's like almost every just speaking part is an actor that you have seen somewhere before, but you don't really know exactly from where.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of that I recognize, like the doctor or the surgeon or whatever he is. He's played by Colm Feore, which I have a soft spot for. He plays a very like delightfully evil like bad guy in the Chronicles of Riddick, which it's a guilty pleasure of mine. And then you had, and I'm not sure of this because I haven't looked it up, and you don't see his face, but when they pull another recognizable face, Alessandro Nivola playing Pollux Troy, is that his name?
Yeah.
The brother, yeah. When they pulled him out of the prison, because, John Travolta is now the bad guy, and he is... No, it's before that. Or, I don't remember. Whatever. He's being interrogated by a guy, and I just heard his voice, and I was like, that's Banya from Seinfeld. I don't know the guy's name, but I mean... And I'm not sure if it is him, but I'm fucking sure it is him.
Yeah, I was just looking up. It also, like, Thomas Jane is here.
Yeah, he's the guy with the glasses. The nerdy guy in the prison.
For some reason. Yeah. And then Chris Bauer, who is the Bevo character.
Who's he?
He has played in a lot of television shows. Like Law and Order, for example. But there's... Oh, yeah, he was one of the main characters, sort of, in True Blood, also.
Oh, okay. Well, I never saw True Blood.
And then there's Matt Ross, who has been in a lot of things, but I know him from American Psycho.
Yes,
the gay guy.
Yeah. Oh, I recognized him. I was like, I saw the guy. You see him up on the helicopter pad when they're shipping off to prison.
Yeah.
I was like, oh yes, that's Gavin Belson from Silicon Valley. That's where I recognized him from.
And then there, John Carroll Lynch is also one of those characters.
The prison guard, main guard, yeah.
Yeah, like Zodiac, Fargo.
Yeah.
American
Horror Story. Where's? Oh yeah, American Horror Story. He has a bunch of roles.
All right, Danny Masterson is just a random boyfriend, or rapist.
Random rapist. Yeah.
Random rapist.
Foreshadowing.
No.
And then of course you have John Travolta.
No.
But there's the other guy who plays one of the agents. He's basically in the whole movie. I recognize his face. I think I've seen him on TV. I don't have his name in front of me. Shit. Whatever.
Well, yeah. Anyway, there's a lot of people you just.
James Denton. He plays Buzz. He's in some sort of. He's wearing scrubs in his IMDb profile picture, so I'm guessing he's been on some sort of hospital show.
Oh, right.
Desperate Housewife. Yes,
Desperate Housewife.
He's in Desperate Housewife. Yeah, there's so many people in this movie.
And no one that you really are a fan of, we're just like, that guy.
You recognize, that guy, yeah. I mean, yeah, I like the lady who like says like, you're gonna replace your face. We have a special mission for you, CCH Pounder.
Yeah.
She has a bunch of like similar roles to this, like small part as like some sort of authoritative figure in a bunch of 90s movies. And so
I don't know if this was just because I was is that, hasn't she played Amanda Waller in one of the Suicide Squads?
And that's not her. That's the other lady.
But she has played Amanda Waller in a lot of voice acting.
Oh, okay.
So it's probably that I know her from there.
Yeah. Like, I don't know a lot about Suicide Squad, but judging from the movies, she would be great as Amanda Waller, the Amanda Waller character.
Yeah. So that's very, very, I don't know, a coincidence, but I like it in this movie.
Let's see. Yes! I looked it up. Steven Heitner played Banya in Seinfeld, and he has the role of interrogating agent in Face Off. Yes, it was him! I'm so happy.
So...
But
right,
I mean, he is such a if you watch Seinfeld, he is such a recognizable face. We don't get the face, but his voice. Jesus Christ. Yeah. But speaking of actors, since this is the Nicolas Cage podcast, let's talk a little bit about Nicolas Cage. And oh my God, he is at least for the beginning of the movie when he is still the bad guy character, he is unhinged. Yeah,
that's... when I'm thinking Rage Cage, I'm thinking him dressed up as a priest, headbanging.
Oh yeah, doing
that is the Rage Cage. He's amazing, and it's you really feel that he's enjoying himself playing this hysterically bad guy.
Which is kind of interesting, because it feels like he's really reveling in those earlier moments. But he was... originally, he didn't really want to do the movie because he didn't want to play the bad guy.
Oh.
He's like, oh, no, I don't want to be, like, pegged as the crazy bad guy. But then we're like, no, but you're just for the first 20 minutes, then you're actually the good guy playing the bad guy. And he's like, all right. So I'm wondering if he's, like, just laying on thick... because that's what he thinks people want in this movie, and unintentionally does it amazingly well, but still.
Yeah, I do think that it works out best in this way, because when John Travolta takes over the character, he plays so mellowed out because he needs to pretend to fit in, and I don't think that Nicolas Cage could have worked with that.
To try and like rein himself in.
Yeah, the muffled bad guy sort of.
Sure, yeah. He works better as the sort of straight man in this one.
Yeah,
definitely.
And it's very fun because I was very amazed several times when he comes. When he gets out of prison, and this when you see his face like having 40 emotions at the same time, because he's very sad and broken, mentally broken, but at the same time needs to pretend to be unstable, I guess.
Yeah, specifically the scenes in the place with the guy who
drug
gives him
dealer.
the drugs. Yeah. Which is another actor people recognize. I know the name. It's Nick Cassavetes, but I can't place him in any other movie. Unfortunately,
No,
I know he's
me
like
neither.
a known actor, but still. Yeah, like when he's like trying to play the part of Castor Troy, and he which is, I mean, that must be a hard part to play.
Yeah.
I guess more for the character than the actor, I suppose. Well, for the actor as well. But to try and, but that's what's so interesting about this and that aspect of the movie, that he has to impersonate the man he is like hated for 6 years.
Yeah.
And him like struggling to maintain a sense of himself in there. It's amazing. Like the first time when he sees himself in the mirror and he almost has a nervous breakdown. And that coming back then when he tries to act like Castor Troy in the prison, when everyone starts laughing. And the same thing, yeah, in the scenes with the drug dealer.
Yeah. So I think he's doing a great job, and I think this is, well, I mean, it's not Leaving Las Vegas, but it is close to one of his best.
Oh, it's up there. Yeah, definitely.
So far in his career, at least. So yeah, he's just great.
Yeah.
And we talked about that a lot before in the last season. But this is one of those where I can't see anyone else be able to do it.
Nah, no, I don't think so. I mean, they really hit the nail on the head with Travolta, Cage and Travolta.
Yeah, and again, I'm just same with Travolta. I can see anyone doing as good as him, and
no, yeah,
he should be a bad guy more often. I mean,
yeah, he kind of did that a few, like 10 years ago. He went into like, I'm gonna play the cool bad guy for a while, and I don't know what he does now, but
now he mostly makes bad movies.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's kind of funny because around this time he just I never really noticed it because it was before I was alive, and I haven't really watched any of like the 70s and 80s Travolta movies. But he had kind of like he was in like a slump and almost was like quote unquote done in Hollywood before Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, and that was just 3 years before this one.
Yeah, and he had like an upswing with Pulp Fiction, but then also with movies like Get Shorty, we got to act a little bit. But then he did like Michael, and I do like Phenomenon, but it's a bland movie. Just I like it from my childhood.
Yeah,
but
I like it too.
Yeah, in this movie though, he gets to unleash his acting chops, especially since he has to pretend to be Nicolas Cage for most of the movie, which, I mean, that takes some like level of skill of acting, you know?
Yeah, and
he does it well, very well.
He's so menacing.
Oh yes,
you really feel that he can explode at any time when he.
Yeah.
Another thing, what's your interpretation? I'm just wondering. Why is he so set on making the family's life better? Why is he so set on that to like make Archer's wife love him and like protecting the daughter from a rapist and giving her a knife and all these things? Why?
I think
it's not because this is above just keeping up appearances. This is above that.
Yes. Well, yeah, but part of it is that keeping up appearances. But I also think that there's more depth to these characters, specifically Castor Troy, than most of the movie lets off. Like, we don't really get a lot of information about the characters, but we do get when he's visiting Sean Archer as Castor Troy in the prison the first time, or the only time they meet there. And when the guards come in because Archer's trying to strangle him, he says like, "Yeah, he obviously had a tough childhood. Like they're and the fact that he has a very strong bond to his brother, it I mean, armchair psychologist here, but he speaks of like an abusive relationship to his at least one of his parents. Also, you know, his line of work, he's like basically a thrill seeker more than a criminal. Like he just does these things because it's fun and exciting. He just chose criminality because it's more dangerous. And couple that with, you know, obviously like a severe drug addict, as we see, he always has his little blue box of blue pills. And I think like when he becomes Sean Archer, it's almost like he wants to, in a way, even though the real Sean Archer won't really know it, or at least he doesn't think he's going to know it, he wants to corrupt the family. But he's also, I think, starting, especially with the daughter in that situation, he's feeling protective because he is very protective of his remaining family, which is just his brother, really, from what we understand. And he's probably, that might just be me reading into it, because he doesn't seem to know about his son, because he hasn't met his quote-unquote wife for years. That's more the fake Castor Troy feeling like guilty over not taking care of his son. So Sean Archer, really. I just think that he's like deeply conflicted. So he wants to hurt Archer by corrupting the family, but the more he spends time with the family, he kind of, like I said, at least with the daughter, wants to protect them as well, because it is in his nature to protect family. And he's torn between that. That might be me reading a little bit too much into it, but that's the feeling I got watching it this time.
Well, that was, yeah, that's the answer I wanted. I want you to think more about it, because it was something that sort of I couldn't figure it out when I was watching, because it felt kind of weird that at some points he was like, yeah, you're living Archer's life better than Archer does.
And another thing which they don't really bring up in the movie, but it's once again just told through looks and faces. When he kills the son, Michael, in the beginning, he obviously didn't mean for it, and he even looks like remorseful in that scene, even if it's not much. You can still see like, shit, shouldn't have shot the kid. So he's feeling some sort of guilt over that, even though he doesn't really care about it. Because he mentioned that at the end, like, oh, you should get over it, man. That was 6 years ago.
It wasn't personal. It was an accident.
Yeah. But obviously then, you know, since he brings it up, he thinks of it. Maybe not as much as Archer does, but he has thought about it at points during these 6 years. Obviously, like, it's in there. It's under the surface. It's bubbling. Yeah. So it's interesting character.
Yeah, and again, that's, I think, a big strength of this movie, that there you can analyze the characters, because usually you can't in an action movie.
No,
there's the hero and the bad guy. There's
in action movies like this, yeah.
I mean, if you put like another great action movie, Die Hard. Yeah. There isn't that much to analyze about John McClane.
No, there isn't that much. It's more on the surface there, but you know, it's there's not much to analyze. He's a cop, and he has a strained relationship with his wife, but he does love her. So when terrorists attack, gotta save her.
And same with the bad guy. I want money.
That is literally his thing. He tries to play it off as he's doing some sort of like liberation of these freedom fighters, but he just wants money.
Yeah. So again, what John Woo said. Focus on the emotional core of the movie.
Yeah, I mean, and every movie, well, maybe not every, but most movies benefit from that. Whether it's a drama or an action movie, like if you care about the characters, and if your characters feel like genuine and real, the stakes are raised, and you care when they get shot or they have to race to stop the bomb or whatever, you know.
And I'm gonna say in every movie. I can't think of any movie.
Sure.
Where it won't, because I was thinking maybe one genre at least of movies was a slasher movie, because that's very rare that we care about anyone. Because they're mostly placeholders to die.
Yeah.
But there are a few. I'm thinking like Black Christmas is one of them, and
sure, yeah.
I would say maybe Cabin in the Woods, but that makes the movies better.
Oh yeah, yes, it does.
That's why they are movies that we remember more than Friday the Night Part 8.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say that every movie would benefit with more depth of characters.
I'm just thinking like maybe some like extreme like art house movies that are just all about like style. I'm thinking, I don't know if you've seen Upstream Color.
From the guy who made
Primer. I don't know if like fleshing out the characters would help that movie.
Well,
much.
I mean that movie would help if there were characters.
Yeah,
first off.
Sure, I guess.
And if there were characters, it would have been a better movie. That is fleshing out the characters that doesn't exist. So
good point. I guess every movie benefits from good characters. Yeah. Oh my God. Well, so I'm glad John Woo had, he didn't just snort a bunch of coke and say, we need more explosions, all right? He said, hey, let's focus on the characters. And I was like, that's such a fundamental difference. Keep going back to The Rock, because The Rock is the worst of the... They're really like on a what's it called? Like on a grading scale, they're just like worst, okay, best of these three movies. Yeah. Like, The Rock is so bad, especially when you compare it to this.
Oh yeah, it's night and day.
And it's just like a year later? Why do people even bother with The Rock when you have Face Off?
Because people have a hard-on for Sean Connery, that's why. That's the only thing. That's the only thing that makes people want to watch that movie. That Sean Connery is in it.
I guess. And I mean, yeah, that's still like two different movies, but they came out so close to each other with like similar actors, similar style, stylistic action. I'm just like, wow. Because almost, I mean, this is, like we said, this is obviously a classic, and it was very well received when it came out. But it almost feels like people talk about The Rock more. Hey, that might just be me projecting.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is because The Rock still sort of, for people who like it, that is, they feel that it doesn't have the praise it needs, while Face Off have all the praise it needs. Everyone knows Face Off is a good movie. There's no one, I'd say, that have seen the movie would say, it wasn't that good.
No, yeah.
Sure, you can say it's not for me, it's not what I like, but nobody can say it's a bad movie.
No, that's because it is one of those movies. It has, like, almost universal appeal.
Yeah.
I mean, the only reason I own this on DVD is because back when I was, I don't know, I must have been in my teens, I used to, like, try to make my mom watch movies more. I still do to a certain degree, but now she watches movies on her own. And I remember, like, because she's not a fan of action, but it's like, we should watch Face Off. And it was mainly because I wanted to have it on DVD, but I didn't want to pay for it. So it's like, you should buy Face Off. We should watch Face Off. And I mean, even her, like I said, she's not really a fan of action or, like, violence and stuff like that. She, like, genuinely enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So I don't remember exactly why, but I'm guessing it's because it's not just action. It has layers. It has depth. It has emotions.
I mean, sure,
like I said, universal appeal.
Yeah, even if you don't like action, you can just... There are big chunks of the movie, as we said, that have no action at all.
Yeah.
So you can just zone out during the action movies and you still have a pretty good movie. And if you're really into action, you can zone out at the emotional parts and have really good action. And
that's another thing, like, there's enough in the action to make it, like, matter for the story, but honestly, without the action, the story still makes sense. Like, you could more or less cut out the action, it would still be the same or the same story.
Yeah. Well,
more or less.
It would be the same story, but we will lose some of the character developments. And
Oh, definitely. But it would work.
yeah,
It wouldn't be as good, but it would work.
yeah.
And I think that it's reflected in the what's it called? The reviews at the time. Because this got like great reviews. I mean, it got a couple of like 10 out of 10s, which is just for an action movie like this. Oh, we got a bunch of 10 out of 10s actually. It's just like insane. I mean, it kind of. I mean, spoilers for our grading. It might not deserve 10 out of 10, but I mean, it's fucking close. Because I mean, out of I always go to Metacritic, and it has a meta score of 82 out of 100. It has universal acclaim. It has 0 negative reviews. It has 3 mixed, and even the mixed reviews are like, it's still good. I mean, especially if you like action, but if you don't, it's a little much, maybe. That's basically it.
Yeah. Another thing, though, that another complaint I have, but it's such a good action, so I don't. It doesn't really matter. But this must be the worst and sloppiest prison escape ever.
Yeah.
There is no plan. If you look through it, there is not one moment through the entire escape scene that isn't based on luck.
No, yes. I mean, and I'm guessing that the prison escape was a bigger part of the movie originally. This it almost feels like, just to go back to the original concept of Schwarzenegger Stallone, they made a movie in 2013 called Escape Plan, I think. Yes, Escape Plan, where they actually play 2 prisoners, well, sort of one undercover prisoner, escaping from a very similar Supermax prison, but then the escape is like 95% of the movie. So I'm guessing, and here, you know, John Woo just wanted to get Nicolas Cage off that goddamn platform.
Yeah, but
so we continue with the story.
Yeah, I mean, again, actually,
so it is silly.
It's great action, so I can forgive it. But
yes,
if you just wanted him to get out, why don't just take some of Castor Troy's friends and get him out?
Yeah.
I mean, it's such a sloppy job to just. He just asks someone on a whim, when do they take off the boots? Oh, when you go to the hospital. Okay, let's start a fight. Go to the hospital. Oh, prison guard, could you light my cigarette? Why would he do that? But he does. Oh, now I have a weapon so I can escape. Oh, this guy who just got electroshock therapy that I didn't even know was gonna be here is on the ground. Let's hope he gets up and help me. It's just...
No one restraining him or putting back the man boots on him. No, he's just lying there, like in the open. He's he's not even knocked out. He's just lying there.
Yeah. What was Archer's plan in that moment if that guy hadn't been there? What was the plan? What was the plan?
Well,
if it was could I have a light or a cigarette? No. Well, fuck, I guess I'll die then.
The plan was that on page 85 in the script it said he escapes. That was the plan.
Yeah. So I think that's I think that's the biggest,
a big plot hole.
The biggest, I don't know if we could call it a plot hole, but the biggest issue with the plot in the movie.
Yes.
So yeah, I'm just did put that out there.
We do, however, and we gotta talk about that before we wrap up. We do, in that prison escape, we get an amazing stunt where a guy jumps, like, I think it was like 60 feet, so about, what, like 40 meters? No, 40 meters, just from that platform into the ocean, like, for real. And that's the simplest stunt. There's so many, like, big set pieces in this. The actual, like, life-size plane crashing into a hangar, and when they flip the boat in the end, and the 2 actors, I'm pretty sure it's some compositing going on because they couldn't just throw a boat at them. But them just flying through the air with the boat behind them, it's insane. Yeah. There's so many insane, like, action set pieces in this movie.
Yeah, and it really works because you see and you feel that this is stunt people actually doing these things. There is barely any visual effects. Again, maybe some composing here and there, but that's it. There's still people doing these things.
Yeah, they're still flying through the air.
Yeah.
That's because I didn't specifically remember that boat chase, or how it ended. And I was just like, what the fuck? The ending of that boat chase was insane. And I mean, off the top of my head, I mean, we did get, I guess, in Con Air, a big plane in on the Las Vegas Strip, but I don't know how much of that was like actually real. But I mean, other than Face Off, I don't think we've seen a plane crash of that size until Tenet a year and a half ago, when they actually crashed a big 747 into a hangar, which is very similar. It made me think like, oh, maybe Christopher Nolan must be a Face Off fan, because it's the same thing. Just drive it in, bunch of cameras filming all the action, and just blow the plane up.
Just gotta say, I'm looking through the trivia section on IMDb. Seems like it wasn't fun making this movie, though.
Well,
there's a lot of trivia, like Nicolas Cage saying one of the action scenes was one of the worst days of his life.
Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure that had to do with all the stuff on the platform, because he's like terrified of heights.
Yeah, and then there was like, they had to hide all the reflective surfaces where they had the face
makeup.
Off
Yeah.
And this seems like everyone has like, oh fuck, it was JohnTravolta, as the writers, they were making fun of him when they said this ridiculous chin.
Ridiculous chin, yeah. And they were like, no. It's obvious I put it in there for us. I mean, come on. Yeah, I know, but I mean, that's. I don't know how much faith you should put in that, but like, you gotta suffer a little bit for your art. It makes it good. I mean, usually when you hear like, oh, it was a hellish shoot, it means the movie is good. And when everyone's just having fun and everyone's laughing and we're just, hanging around the concessions, whatever, that's when you get like, I don't know, Paul Blart or any other Adam Sandler movie, because they're just hanging out having fun.
No, that's
here
fair.
They actually, they got to get in uncomfortable situations. Because it was needed to make the movie they wanted to. I mean, sometimes that can still result in a bad movie, and then it's not worth it at all. But I mean, at least I think that you should suffer a little bit for your art to make it good.
Yeah.
So,
but Nicolas Cage does consider this one of the best movies he's ever made. So.
Oh yeah. Out of the ones we've watched so far, and the ones I've seen but we haven't talked about, you agree?
Yeah, it's definitely up there. I wouldn't say the best, but it's up there.
No.
But
speaking of,
it goes it's higher up on the best action movies in the world. It's probably a top 10 best action movies ever made.
Oh yeah.
But it's not in the top 10 movies ever made. But,
no.
But action movies list definitely up there.
Yeah, and I gotta say, like, for a lot of years, since it was so long since I saw it, I have probably not seen it since my teens or maybe my early 20s. I kind of wrote this off. From like action movie lists, that I make in my head or whatever. Like, it's a good action movie, but it's no John Wick. But like watching it now, like it's kind of like John Wick.
So, scoring.
Yes. You first?
Sure. I'm gonna give this I'm gonna give it a weak 9.
Oh. Yeah, and I'm kind of just like last week. I'm not sure if it's a strong 8 or a weak 9. I'll give it. I'll give it a 9 as well.
You know what? I'm gonna change my score directly. No, it's a very, very strong 8. It's not a weak 9. It's a very, very strong 8. You're sticking with 9, or you're gonna go down to 8 too.
Shit.
I was looking over the other movies, and I can't put this in the same bracket as Red Rock West and Leaving Las Vegas. I can't do it.
No, yeah, and I gave an 8 to Red Rock West, an 8 to Wild at Heart. A 9 to Moonstruck.
10 to Vampire's Kiss.
Well, of course. Yeah, of course. I mean, that should be a 100 out of 10. Yeah, okay, you know what? An 8.
Peer pressure.
Very strong. Yes. Partly peer pressure. Partly because, like we talked a lot about the complexities of the characters, but they're not even close to like characters like Ben Sanderson in Leaving Las Vegas.
And I was saying, on quality level, this is not as good as Leaving Las Vegas. No. But on entertainment level, it's not the same as Red Rock West. I would rather watch Red Rock West than this one, I'd say.
I would put them in the same. Because I gave them both 8. So
you picked them in the same, so...
Yeah. For me, it's... I mean, if I had to pick, I would say both.
Yeah.
For very different reasons. But I would say, I wouldn't be able to pick. Yeah. Watch one.
But you were also a little more into action than I am, generally.
Yes,
so.
Definitely.
Yeah. But yeah, strong 8 is still pretty good score.
Yes, it is.
Specifically when we said we're going to be a little more harsh in this season with the scores.
Yeah, and we have been, I guess. I mean, I gave Connor a 7. I mean, like I said, it was a very, very weak 7. Just quickly, I gotta say that what pushed it over was just that I just fell completely in love with Cameron Poe. Just insane. Otherwise, that's another 6. But this is definitely, it's a very strong 8.
So, are we going to do reviews or are we just going to wrap up? Because it became pretty long one, this one.
Yeah, I mean...
Almost at the hour mark now, I think.
Yeah, well, we just passed an hour. Yeah, no, like, I'll just say that, it has an 80, like I said, it has an 82, which is... Especially for a 90s action movie, that's rare.
Yeah.
Like, it really struck a chord with people back then.
Yeah. It only have a 7.2 on IMDb, though.
The user score?
Yeah, the user score.
Huh.
Well, 366,000 reviews, and it's a 7.2.
Yeah, I mean...
That's lower than I thought.
Oh, yeah, and just to then compare... Oh my god! You see, this is what's wrong with our society.
Scores.
You people, man, they're the worst. Because The Rock has a 7.4.
Well,
wait. Yeah, it's 0.2 higher than Face Off. Like, come on! What the fuck? Oh well, I'm not gonna get angry at people.
No. Well. On that, we're going to leave the action trilogy of The Rock, Con Air, and Face Off.
Yeah, for a while.
Yeah, we're going to go... Well, the action trilogy is over, but there will be more action movies.
There will be more action later.
But the action trilogy is over. So now we're going to get a little more mixed bag for the next coming episodes.
Yeah, some drama, some thriller.
Yeah, so
some
next week...
Comedy?
Yeah, I think a comedy, I think so. But that's a while before comedies, I think. But yeah, anyway, so next week it's City of Angels.
Yes.
Which you haven't seen, if I remember correctly?
I have seen parts of it, but yeah, I can't say I've seen it. I saw it like when it was on TV when I was a kid, that's about it.
I own it on DVD.
Yes, you do, I know. I remember that.
Yeah, and it's, if I remember correctly, it was a while since I watched it. If I remember correctly, it's a romantic drama, which is kind of rare these days to have not a romantic comedy, a romantic drama.
Yeah. It's the eradication of the mid-budget movie, so you don't have any more. Very few romantic comedies, even fewer romantic dramas. It's all either $100 million super blockbuster or a $2 million horror genre movie.
Like the last romantic drama I remember is, I think that's one, The Notebook. That's a romantic drama, right?
Yeah, that was a big one.
Yeah, I think that's the last big one. We always have...
the last big one, definitely. I mean, there's been some, like,
there's always Hallmark movies always. So.
But yeah, sure.
Because they're all romantic dramas.
I mean, there is, like I said, not mainstream, but if you want to go like into the more indie territory, Derek Cianfrance is great at like drama, like heavy on the romance, like drama. He made Blue Valentine and The Light Between Oceans, which are not equally great, but both are good movies. Blue Valentine is amazing. But...
I haven't seen them, but I know of them.
Oh yeah. Oh, you should check out Blue Valentine. It's so fucking good. Anyway.
But yeah, that's next week. We can talk about Blue Valentine.
Yes.
But yeah, so City of Angels, which is 1998. He made 2 movies in 1998. This is the first one.
Yeah, and the second one is Snake Eyes. That's going to be interesting, because I've never even seen a scene out of that. So.
No, me neither. So,
yeah.
But yeah, that's...
First City of Angels.
Yeah, first City of Angels.
Yeah, and that's for next week. So, thank you so much for listening, everybody who's listening. Remember, you can always get the episodes for free every Tuesday on every major podcast platform. But if you want the episodes way in advance, like at the time we're recording this, we have recorded 4 episodes now of this second season, and nothing is available yet, unless you are a Patreon or a patron. So go to patreon.com/don'tmakeascene, and just for $3 a month, you'll not only get all these episodes in advance for each season, you'll also get exclusive episodes of my other podcast, Spoilercast, as well as exclusive videos, commentary tracks, a bunch of stuff, and all for just $3 a month. And you'll also just help us out, to keep the show afloat with all the cost that's come with making a podcast. So check that out. Links are everywhere, and we'll see you in the next one. But until then, have a good one. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Madness in the Method is part of the Please Don't Make a Scene podcast network. It is produced and directed by Tobias Vedén after a concept by Christopher Billén. It is hosted by Tobias Vedén and Christopher Billén. Executive producer is Annika Vedén. If you want to be a supporter of the show, please check us out on patreon.com/don'tmakeascene, where you can get early access to episodes, exclusive episodes of other podcasts, commentary tracks, and much, much more. And we want to give a huge shout out to our Patreon supporters, Laura Kinney, Rasmus Jonsson, Mom, and Dad.